On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are back in the new shop, and the future is looking quite bright. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, we are over here in the new shop, and I spent all day yesterday just getting a bunch of other random stuff done over here. So, part of the random stuff was hanging all the boxes on the walls where all of our receptacles are going to go, and there will be one more box up high on that one or that one running through the entire shop with drops coming down to pick up all of those outlets. We still don't have power for our ACs. We're waiting on the electricians to finish up that fun section there. And over here, I went ahead and added one in the middle, and I think I'm gonna get the scissor lift over here and add one more box up high for the TV wall, of course. Yes, I've seen your comments. I know everyone's asking for a TV wall. I'm not gonna do something as crazy as the last one because straight up, we don't have room. The other one was a 20-foot diagonal and was, I think it was 10 feet tall and 17 or even wider than, I mean, that thing was massive. That TV wall, bigger than a car, basically. So if I'm doing one over here, it'll be nice because first, we don't have to spend as much on the video wall processor, and also TVs are basically free now, so I could do 4 75s for, you know, the price of 2 of the TVs at the last one, and then toss a cheap processor on it and we'll have a video wall. Now, I'm not making any promises about that, but I see the comments and I'm kind of planning on doing it. It doesn't need to be done now. We need to be working on cars first. That's what I want to be working on right now. So let's get all the rest of this stuff done and then we'll go to the fun, like the video wall. But personally, I think it would look good, like right up there in that big square. So that's a down the road. Anyway, what I have been doing over here is charging the car, which is great because now I can plug it into a 50 amp and making those runs to pick up stuff we needed. So I spent a lot of time making up all of our outlets, and that's 2 boxes of outlets so far. I went to Lowe's last night, got a 3rd box that we didn't have because we are putting in a few more outlets than I was thinking, like the TV wall, and then a quad box at each side of the garage doors for garage door openers, obviously. We do need garage door openers. So, you know, that's what, 4 extra, 6, 8 extra outlets right there. That's a full box. So I'll probably consume almost all of those today. Also picked up ground straps that are gonna go in all of our boxes and miscellaneous junk to finish up other stuff like blanks to close up the junction boxes on the lights and a giant 50 amp outlet holder. And people keep saying they want to see the work. I don't think anything could be more self-explanatory than putting a plate cover on a 50 amp outlet or putting a box cover on a junction box. But if you guys want to see it, I'll show you. Now, to make putting a plate cover on less boring, I can show you guys the most exciting innovation in the entire world. And I have it right here beside my box. And every time I get to use it, I get excited about it. This is an ECX bit, and if you haven't used ECX, get yourself one. You will never have made a better decision in your entire life. Now, this is a cheap Milwaukee 13-in-1, I guess, and I picked up this one because I was at Home Depot and I had a Home Depot gift card that I just wanted to blow through a bunch of money on, and you know, this fit the bill. These aren't ECX screws, but this is ECX. And those should be ECX. I have no idea what it stands for. I just assume EC means electrical contractor something. And what do these actually say on them? They're labeled, right? E to E1. So we're just gonna use the old Phillips, even though Phillips is the worst standard in basically the history of fasteners. We've all given up on Phillips, right? In construction, everything is T20, T25, T30, which is super nice. You can't beat having Torx on basically everything because it positively engages, right? It's not junk. They don't cam out. You don't have problems with Torx. And then the electrical side, it went over to the old square bits, and square bits are also dope, right? They do really well. This, of course, has both squares in it that you use on panels and on breakers and things like that. Square usually positively engages, but I think we've all had a square snap out on you once, and when it does, it's usually game over. Like you tore something up, when a square cams out. Am I on a nothing is ECX day? Apparently I am. I was expecting to use it for this entire install, but none of these screws actually fit. But anyway, it works perfectly on panels, and it engages so positively because what it is a square and a straight, and the square is turned 90 degrees to the, or 45 degrees to the flat bit. Incredible, incredible. So over here, we'll just do it the old way. Unfortunately, I much prefer using ECX. I mean, I've had squares strip out of breakers. ECX never fails. It locks in place and you don't even have to look again. It's just perfect. So definitely one of my favorite fasteners of all time. And that's the only way to make installing an outlet cover less boring. Ooh, I went too far. All right, guys, I'm just trying to make sure all the screws are perfectly straight. That's why I'm taking so much time here. Straight up and down, everywhere. All right, now we've got a cover on our other 50 amp here, and that one is my welder cable, which is also great because we can plug this guy in. And it's on this super long 10 gauge extension cord that we've always used for the welder. But what we're gonna do with this is unplug it. This also works on the car charger, which is nice. This side fits about everything. But we're gonna unplug this and then temporarily wire this to our air conditioners, and then we can power them up to get them going and tested. And then all that will be left is hooking them up to some power and turn on the breakers. So this is great because I have a super long cord for it. If you do any electrical, this will absolutely change your life. Well, that's the wrong size. That's E2 and this is E1. But this thing locks in so positively when you put it in there. Like it can't cam out. You can be off a hair. I mean, it works so well. And when those new breakers show up and they're insanely tight like they always are, perfect. Every other new piece of electrical equipment is ECX, like these are ECX, that's ECX, this is ECX. I can't say it enough, it's my favorite thing in the world. Check out those screws. Oh wow, one of them's wrong. I don't know what happened there. Forget my random selection. One of them's wrong. What is going on? Did I not finish my job? There we go, a perfect one. Look, it takes 10 extra seconds and it looks so much better. It's like, you don't actually like go looking for this, but you notice when the outlet screws are lined up. I don't know why, it's just like, you don't even think about it. You're like, oh, this is really well done. So I do it. I don't know how, but those two I picked up were the only two that were wrong, and I fixed them and they're back. Oh, let's do the last step of this. I know the breaker's off to it. So let's turn it on. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's this one. It says auto scale, but I don't see any power here. Oops, I'm an idiot. That 50 is the car charger that I still have no status on. That's why there's just 6 gauge stubbed out there. Hopefully it's not landed in the panel. I don't think it is. I'm gonna guess this 30 is our outlet here. Hey, there we go. 235. Let's make sure we got 110. Come on. Hard to make contact with both of them. There we go, 110, maybe. All right, and 240 across. Everything looks good. Now you guys got to see the lev rack go back together in the time lapse. Obviously there's still a bunch of work to do. I have to bring the cabinets over here. We left the cabinets assembled. When they ship from lev rack, they're flat packed, so it makes it actually pretty reasonable to ship this thing. But we're gonna use like a 40-foot trailer to move the cabinets over here, and once all of that has arrived, I can hang them all up and we'll have some storage. But this is still huge progress. That thing is way bigger than I remember it being. The lift, one of the lift legs is supposed to go like right here. That was our plan. I don't know if I can put a lift right here anymore. I'm gonna try. We're gonna bring the lifts over here and mock them up before we actually send them into the ground, but I'm a little concerned about just how big this thing is. But I had forgotten just how awesome having this much storage is as well. I can't wait to have this back, and this shop will be crispy and organized. Anyway, I'm gonna clean this thing up. It is absolutely filthy from sitting in storage for nearly a year. Let me get it all wiped down and we'll be right back to, I guess, ACs and cleaning up the shop. A few minutes later, and that looks way better too. There's no dirt on it, looking like it's brand new. So I need to go get all the trolleys that mount into it and then the shelves that mount into the trolleys. Yeah, that's actually a bunch of work. I had planned on loading up the trolleys last night, but the truck was full. We brought all of that just in the bed of my truck. So time for another run maybe, and we can start at least moving one more pallet, 2 more pallets over here. And hopefully I find the pallet that has all the electrical to help finish the shop in it. Everything may look the same in here, but I very much guarantee you it's not. The holes drilled, the lines are out the side of the building, and all we have left is to wait on Dad's coming back with his flaring tool, and we should be ready to rock and roll hooking up these ACs. Well, at least the first one. Obviously we don't have power out here yet, so I took my welder cord and hooked that up to our disconnect. That's going to be our temporary power right there. It is already the correct breaker, so that works out really well. And of course, there's our lines and our line set, and maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes of work, and we should have that hooked up to this AC and one of these things online, so we've got some heat. They're saying there's a huge winter storm coming this weekend. I want to be prepared for it and have some heat in here in case we need to get some work done. And obviously the electricians will be here to finish the power to the ACs and put the outlets in Friday. So tomorrow's Thanksgiving. The next day we'll be back here grinding, and the day after that, Eric and I have a lot of work to finish up at the lake house. So we're gonna get that done too, and the electricians might still be here finishing all this up. One nice thing about moving in is I found the box of all my electrical stuff, which has 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch connectors, 3/4 and 1/2 cup. Like every single thing you could need for running EMT is basically in this area right here, along with boxes of new wire. I found tons of wire. Now for a quick tale about temporary power. At the old shop, there were a million different 220 outlets all over the place, something like 300 circuits, right? Because we had 5 panels that were basically full. I mean, monstrous 3-phase panels. There was just power going everywhere, and most of it went under the concrete, and tracing circuits there, it was a thing. Eventually, I kind of figured out where they all were, but one day, we plugged in my new Harbor Freight welder, of course. And as soon as we started using it, we were like, this thing doesn't work at all. It doesn't have enough wire speed, it doesn't have enough voltage, like it will not weld what we need it to weld together. Well, we quickly figured out that that welder is amazing. It does not care what you hook up to it. If you feed it 110, it keeps working and it automatically derates itself. If you feed it 220, it kicks right back up. There, you can't even tell the difference. It doesn't say anything on screen. It just allows 100% welding. So it would be nice if there was an indicator saying what it was running on screen. That's like the only improvement I could recommend. But the whole time it was running on 110 with no wire speed, it was plugged into a 220 outlet on one of the pedestals. We were like, what on earth? Something's weird about this. I have it all wired correctly. Well, I assume either the pedestal or one of the breakers, it wasn't wired correctly on one of the sides. So instead of tearing it all apart, because the pedestals were welded together and there was no way to get in there without cutting the metal cap off of it, they like welded the outlets in from the back. There was some crazy stuff that had gone on in there, right? It was an old welding shop, and they did old welding shop hacky things. Well, I fixed my cord, and I went ahead and just flipped the neutral or the ground lug over there over to one of the line sides, and we plugged it back in, and the welder came to life. We were like, success! And we never had the welder hooked up to anything else, right? It was always plugged into the same outlet on that giant extension cord because it was long enough to get me anywhere in the shop I needed to go, and it worked great the entire time. I forgot all about it. And then I moved here. And a minute ago, I went ahead and I wired this into the disconnect as my temporary power just so we can get the vacuum pump on this and fire up the heat for the night. And then I plugged it in. And what happened next is lucky that it didn't blow me back from the wall. Luckily, it only crossed a single phase, but you can see the burn mark. That guy right there, you see that? Where it blew some of the metal back off of it? Yeah. Well, this shop is wired correctly. And as soon as I plugged it in, I heard the shop start buzzing, and I yanked this thing back out of there because I could feel the vibration in my hand, and I saw sparks fly out of, I assume, the ceiling, because luckily the unit's not connected yet and the disconnect was out outside, which is why I plugged it in. I was like, no big deal, disconnect's unplugged. It was a big deal because we connected the entire building to 220 because the grounds outside are good. So luckily it was like a half-second deal. I yanked it back out. And of course the other end of it is bare wire hooked up to the disconnect, so I know it's not wrong. And then I came in and took this end of the cord apart and I was like, oh yeah, we did wire that wrong to make the old shop work. This one went about as well as could have been expected. So I got it right back out of there, wired it back up correctly, plugged it in, checked the breaker, everything's perfect. I guess we're good. Took the camera home so I could change the battery real quick, and I left it on my desk. We are back. It's dark and cold outside now, but you can see we've got the line set hooked up, and we're getting ready to wrap all that up in that white tape there, and we'll put these together, make the bends match. The suction line's basically done. Put the other one on in just a second, and then tape all of this together. Hey, that looks better without that light there. Are you gonna try to just bend it by pulling them together?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Professional bending right there.
Looks good, looks good.
Yeah. Knife. And this looks like it's pretty level.
Yeah, I'm gonna
cut a bunch of the insulation off.
Get just a little bit of that off, boy. Sharp knife does a good job on that.
It is a sharp knife. We might have a sharp razor blade, guys, but we did not bring a sharp tubing cutter. That one's seen some things.
I think I need a little lubricant in my rollers.
The WD-40's right there.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll bring it back to life.
Won't make it cut any better, but at least it won't squeak.
Yeah, much better.
I could cut this copper, nobody'd ever know I was doing it.
It probably does run better because it was tight a second ago. Hey, nice. We did bend this 1/2 inch with the EMT bender, and it worked great, guys. No kinks.
Don't tell anybody I'm doing that. I don't want anybody to know I know how to do it.
I know. Phone rings twice as much.
Anybody asks me if I know how to do refrigeration work, I'll deny it.
It's nice that they include the nuts. Extra nuts even. Oh, hey, it's Milwaukee, it won't break.
What do we got here?
I think they're the same.
This one's prettier than the other.
That one's, yeah, the one that has the better, the better 7/8 stamping. I saw you turn down my lights inside. Were you just trying to put the place in night mode?
Yeah.
No.
I was just playing.
That dimmer sure is nice. I was gonna buy a set of these after the lake house.
For the what?
Flaring tools.
Oh, yeah.
Just so we'd have another
I've
one.
had these old Imperial. This is like the library set.
Yeah.
I don't know how many flaring tools, but the reason this stays complete is I don't let anybody borrow it.
Right.
So kind of keep it hidden.
That flare's super crooked, isn't it?
It did pretty good.
I mean, it's gonna seal, I think.
Well, we'll give it a little more. That old faceted driver did. Yeah, I think this is just because it's a little bit on the bend.
Oh, yeah.
I probably should have.
That makes sense. Tried to straighten it a hair.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Looks nice now. That's for sure.
I need to see it, so let me get out my camera and look inside. I just want to make sure there's no tears or striations.
Cleaned up that flare just a little bit. A little bit of oil on the threads.
Normally I'd like to put a little pag right here, but you know what? A tiny bit of WD-40 won't hurt anything but somebody's feelings. Can't do that.
Yeah, that's illegal. Well, a no-go. Again, we don't have that mini split adapter. Every time we need that thing, there's this little adapter for 410A, and we don't have it. We didn't have it at the lake. We managed to find one, borrow it, give it back, and then Eric and I bought a set. I already had a set that's here somewhere, and I looked and looked and looked. I went through every cabinet. I can't find it. So I'm just gonna buy another set of adapters. They're like $10, and we'll get this thing charged. The problem is, like I said earlier, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and nobody's open, so it won't be on until the next day. But we're really close, and at least, you know what, it'll get wired and it'll get charged at the same time, and we'll be good. And I can drill a hole and get the other one going. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts like the one I'm wearing under this, and please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. That's still a lot of progress in one day, though. Lev rack, moved over another pallet and a half of stuff. We've only got about 6 pallets in the lifts to go. And, you know, one mini split completely done, but not charged. It's the last thing it needs.